Alright, so this is part 2 of a video I put out about 4 days ago. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you want to go ahead and just scroll back in the channel. You'll see it. It's the last video I posted. It's going to explain a lot of this stuff. You definitely want to watch that because without that context, none of this is going to make sense. So definitely go back and watch the last video first. At least skim it and then come watch this. That way everything makes sense to you. Alright, so like I said in the last video, if you do community service in their county, you get 2 for 1. Every hour counts as 2 hours, so obviously I decided to do that. I go down to the building at like 7 a.m. I believe the day started, and it was pretty chill. This was the one part of the entire process where everybody seemed to know what the hell they were doing. They knew how to do their job. They were clear with their instructions. They were clear with their expectations. You go in, you sign up, you show them your paperwork proving that you need to be there. It's like a court-ordered thing. After that, you hang out for a second, you get assigned to a crew. The crew leader tells you to get in his van. You get in the van, you drive down to some random road. You hop out the van. Every time I went out, there was 4 of us, 2 guys per each side of the road. And then you just walk down the road. You have some gloves on. You have like one of those little pooper scooper clawed thingies, and you have a trash bag. Just picking up whatever litter you see, throwing it in your bag. When your bag's full, you wave at the truck. He comes over with the trailer. You throw the bag in the back, get a new bag. Keep walking. It was 1 mile to 3 miles each time I went out. I went out a total of 4 times because there's a morning shift that's 4 hours and there's a daytime shift that's 4 hours. I did both of those 2 days in a row to get my 16 hours, which equaled 32. Easy peasy. Community service, like I said, was the only part of this process where the people were kind, where they knew what the hell they were doing, where they gave you clear instructions and they had clear expectations. Every other step of this, they were either being inhumanely cruel, they had no idea what was going on, they weren't giving you any instructions whatsoever, or they were just trying to make things as difficult as possible. This building was not that way. So Henry County Community Service Building, bravo to you. I only have one hand because I'm holding a camera, but bravo to you. Everybody else, stand by. This story gets really wild. All right, so here is where the story takes a little turn. I feel like I'm constantly fixing my hat. Is it good? Nice, even distribution of brim. Is this brim? What is this called? Cuff? But here is where the story gets a little wild. As you know from the first video, I had to turn myself in for 24 hours of jail time. This part is just terrible. The whole situation, terrible. But when I'm in court, the judge wanted me to go in for that time immediately. But I was there the day before Thanksgiving, so my lawyer convinced them to let me turn myself in within 7 days to serve that 24 hours. The judge agrees, and he says, turn yourself in at 7 a.m. And generally, when you only have 24 hours to serve, they don't want to book you completely and give you a bed and change you out and everything. So he said, you'll likely be sitting in like the booking, the intake area. You'll get fingerprinted, you'll get all of that done, you'll get your medical, and then they'll usually let you go in like 4, 6, 8 hours. They're not gonna make you stay the whole time. But he said, as long as I turn myself in, even if they let me out in 1 hour, that counts as the 24. He says, if you go there, you check in, they say 2, 4, 6, 8 hours, they let you go, I'm gonna count that as 24, your time is served. All you have to do is show up at 7 a.m., your job is done. Which sounds good. But, that is not what happened, my friends. Per the judge's order, I show up at the jail at 7 a.m. I get dropped off. I walk up to the door. I have a book with me because I figure maybe they'll let me keep the book. I'll be in there for 7-ish hours. Why not have a book that I can just kind of entertain myself with? Because I know they're going to take my phone and everything, and there may not be TVs, yada, yada, yada. I'm just trying to cure the boredom. I walk up, the door is locked. So I peer in the window and I can see a security checkpoint with a like metal detector and like a little officer's desk and yada, yada, yada. All that stuff is there, but nobody's there. A nurse walks up and says, hey, I work here a couple times a month. They're really bad about security staying at the gate. Security is really horrible at being where they need to be here. So she says, I'm trying to clock in for work. I've already made a call. Somebody should be down soon to let us in. I asked her, I was like, hey, traditionally, do they let you keep a book? And she was like, yeah, that's totally fine. And I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you so much. I hang out a second. Somebody comes and lets us in. She shows her badge, gets sent on back. I explain while I'm there. And at 7:15-ish, the guy is like, oh no, you can't come until 8. And I was like, well, the judge told me to show up at 7. Can we just double check? And he was like, nah, for sure. It's 8 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, cool. Is it like, what do I need to know? Is there anything that I need to have or not have? And he was like, no electronics, no cell phones can come in the building at all. And no tobacco products. And I was like, is my book okay? He says yes. So that's cool. I go back to the car. We end up going to like a quick trip or a racetrack or something and getting coffee, burning out that 45 minutes. Come back. I walk in, different security guard is there. I tell him while I'm there, or I tell her while I'm there. At this point, it's a woman. And she says, you definitely can't have that book in here. So I'm like, okay. The last guy and the nurse said I could, but that's fine. I take it back to the car, drop it off, go back in. I say, where do I need to go? She says, walk around the corner. There'll be a guy sitting at that desk. I walk around the corner. There's like a little window that kind of looks like a DMV pay window. Nobody is there. So I come back around and I tell her, hey, nobody's there. And she's like, all right, sit in the waiting room over there. Somebody will come for you. So I go sit over there. She has her cell phone propped up, like watching Netflix, laughing her butt off. She's wearing over-the-ear headphones, and then there's a couple vending machines. So she has like snacks. She has like chips and cookies and like a soda, and it's just like having a time of her life hanging out there. So like 15 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by, 45 minutes go by. So I walk up to her and I was like, hey, nobody is coming. What's up? And she was like, did you go back and check the desk again? And I'm like, well, no, because you said to sit here and somebody would come. So I go back to the desk. And there's a guy there now. Keep in mind that the waiting area is on one side of the security checkpoint and the desk is down a hallway kind of around the corner. Like I couldn't see this window or this area from where I was told to sit. They weren't super far apart, maybe in reality 25 feet, but the way the building is shaped, you can't see one from the other. So there was no way for me to know. So I walk around, there's a guy there. I walk up to the little speaker thing. And the guy is like, what's up? And I tell him, hey, I'm supposed to turn myself in for 24 hours. I'm here to do that. And he says, you've been drinking, haven't you? And I'm like, nah, man, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I have not been drinking. And he was like, I'm getting a strong scent of alcohol. And I'm like, well, there's like ballistic glass between us. And I've actually never drank in my life. So like, no. And he was like, you sure you've never drinking? And I'm like, yeah, man, pretty certain I've never had alcohol. Like, a person would remember that unless they've had a lot of alcohol and they forgot about it, but not me. So he's like, all right, cool, go have a seat in the waiting room, somebody will be there to get you. And I'm like, okay, but that's what that lady told me. Are we sure? And he's like, somebody's definitely coming. So I go back, I'm sitting there, 15 minutes go by. About 20 minutes later, a guy comes down. He goes ahead, signs off my paperwork. I get the lady at the gate to just confirm that I was there at 7 a.m. because I was like, hey man, I got here a while ago. Can we make sure I get like all of that time is given to me? And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. She just has to sign the paper. She signs that. It says 7 a.m. in her name. So I'm like, cool. So I leave at 7. And he was like, yeah, at the latest. And I'm like, excellent. He puts me against the wall, puts me in cuffs, looks under my hat for a quick second. I'm wearing the same hat that day. I wear this hat often, apparently. He puts me in cuffs and walks me down a hallway, a very, very cold hallway. Keep in mind, because this is going to come into play, I was wearing winter boots, a t-shirt, a sweater, a jacket over that, this beanie. I had winter socks on, and I think that was it. Just generally dressed for cold weather, but he takes me down what I thought was the coldest hallway of my life. But stay tuned, because it's about to get colder, my friends. So we are walking down the hallway. It's just like a long, kind of looks like a school or any other office building where there's like tile floors, white brick painted walls, super stark, we're walking through it and it's super cold. I know I'm gonna keep saying that, but that's like a really big thing in this story. A lot of the external doors of this building are open. There's a lot of windows that are open. There's just, for some reason, a lot of points of entry for like a jail. You would think that they'd want this to be more secure. But the dead of winter, there's a lot of open doors. So every hallway of this place is really cold. All of the employees are wearing like pretty beefy jackets. Some of them have scarves on. They're all wearing beanies. It's cold. So we're walking down this hallway and I'm walking on the right side. He's right behind me. We make a left. And when I make the left, I just kind of instinctively go to the left of the next hallway. It's not like driving a car when you're walking in an empty hallway. You just kind of go where you flow, you know? But as soon as I stepped over to the left side of the hallway, he's like, whoa, what are you doing? And I was like, whoa, what's up, man? I'm just walking. And he was like, you gotta stay on the right. So I get back over to the right. I'm like, hey man, sorry, I didn't know. I just got here. I don't gotta tell me the rules. So I'm walking on the right side at this point. We get down to the end of the hallway and he says, stand against the left wall. And I'm like, you sure, bud? Because you got kind of angry last time I went to the left. And he just gives me a dirty look and is like, left side, which I shouldn't have poked the bear, I know, but I'm a child. So he's like kind of asking me all of my like descriptive things: height, weight, eye color. He asked me if I have hair, because at that point the beanie is still on, token beanie. There's a dog barking from a car. So I'm answering all his questions. At this point I realized that like when I kind of poked him a little bit, that wasn't super chill, so I start killing him with kindness, asking how his day is going, just genuinely asking, just being nice, you know. I generally find that you make more friends with honey, I guess they say. I just try to be as nice as possible, especially in this situation. They don't probably have very many nice people. I guarantee you people come in there super angry. And at this point I wasn't angry. I was perfectly fine. I didn't want to be there, but I wasn't mad at him. He didn't put me there. So I'm just being super chill, being nice. He comes out and is like, give me the hat. So I give him the hat. He takes it back into his little booth. A lot of the areas in this place are much like a DMV or like a hood gas station, where there's like ballistic glass and then a little hole that you can pass things through. So he goes around, unlocks the door, goes in, puts himself back in there, and is like putting my beanie in like this big Ziploc bag. He asked me a few more questions. Then he says, give me the jacket. So I take the jacket off. I pass that through the little hole. He puts it in the bag, inputs that. Essentially, he's typing down every single item he takes from me. So I give him that, and then he comes out, kind of looks me over really quick, and he's like, I need your boots. So I give him the boots. Again, he goes back, puts them in the bag, and then comes out and gives me these like orange, like foam sandals, like jail sandals, like open-toed, flip-flop things, slides. So he gives me those. I'm standing there. I still got my sweater at this point, but my baldness is out and my head is so cold. I have no shoes on at this point. So toes are cold, the dogs are cold, and the dome is cold. But I still have my sweater. I'm feeling pretty good. I make the epic mistake of throwing my hands in my pocket. And he's like, oh, you got that sweater on. I'm gonna need that. And I'm like, damn, I just got robbed for my sweater in jail. Getting robbed in jail. So I give him the sweater, and I'm just in my t-shirt, jeans, socks at this point. Cold, 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 cold. He like writes all that down, has me sign off that all the items I came in with. So he takes my belt too, so my belt is on there, my glasses are listed on there, all of the clothing items he took are on there, my wallet, and I had an eyeglass cloth. He took that too. You can't have that in jail, that's dangerous. So he takes that from me, logs it all, I sign off on all the items, and then he puts me back in cuffs and walks me to a little room. When we get to the room, he takes the cuffs back off. This room is like tile floor, white big brick painted walls, super stark. There's just one metal bench in it. There's already a guy in there. He takes my cuffs off, tells me to sit down next to that guy. I do. Me and the guys give each other a little head bump. You can tell the guy's pretty annoyed. He has his arms in his shirt like he's already been in there a while, freezing. Every single step of the way, the crazy thing is, like every single step of the way, I'm like, man, I'm cold. And then it gets colder. They take me somewhere colder. So they take me in this room with this guy. And little did I know, me and this guy were about to go on one hell of an adventure together. So I should have befriended him then, but I didn't. We're sitting there alone, and then a third dude comes in. That third dude also about to go on a wild ride. They have us all in there, sitting in there. We're all cold, hanging out, not talking to each other. But we find out that this is just a waiting area, and we are waiting to get fingerprinted. we are sitting in this little waiting room, just waiting to get fingerprinted. All three of us are pretty cold. At one point, dude in the middle has his arms in his shirt, so I put my arms in my shirt. Third guy follows suit. We're in there probably about an hour and a half when the silence is broken. Middle dude says, man, they have to get us out of this cold ass room already. So I'm like, how long you been in here? And the dude says he had been in there about 2 hours before I showed up. So real quick, I was doing research for this episode and just finding images and whatnot, and I came across a story of, not in the same county I was in, but in a county about 30 minutes away, that waiting room that I was sitting in for fingerprinting, a sheriff's department in Douglas County left 2 teenagers in that room for 3 whole days. 3 days, my dudes. They completely forgot that these kids were in there. They had no water besides the sink, no food, and all they had was that toilet that you saw in the room. Imagine that. Nothing in there but a metal toilet and a sink, no food, probably freezing cold if it was anything like mine. But that's how like flawed these like jail systems are. I got forgotten about a lot of times that you're gonna hear in this story, but these kids had it so bad. I was in there maybe 2-3 hours. I could not imagine being in there in that room, realistically, I was probably in there about 2 hours, but I could not imagine being in there for 3 whole days. When I was in there, the dude in the middle had to take a piss, and he like asked permission. He was like, hey, are y'all cool if I take a piss right now? Like, I know that's weird because we're all in this room together that's mad small, but 3 days, man, that is terrible.